Hello again, World Civilizations class, and today we're going to be talking about the Arabic world and the roots of Islam. Primarily, the Arabic world before 600, but we'll end with a little bit of preview of this guy Muhammad, who we will talk about in the video tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get started. Our main goals today: we want to see the main geographic features of the Arabian Peninsula and think about how they might have impacted the development of this great religion, how the Arabs facilitated trade prior to the rise of Islam, and thinking about where they are located and who they could have traded with. What was the role of Mecca before and after the rise of Islam? And some of that we'll tackle tomorrow. And then who was Muhammad? Make sure you get the vocabulary. There's quite a few terms here, so make sure you get it in your digital notebooks. Let's get started. The Arabian Peninsula lies in Southwest Asia and is part of what we consider the Middle East, but more accurately Southwest Asia. It's bordered on three sides, as peninsulas usually are, by the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, the Arabian Sea, Gulf of Oman, and the Persian Gulf. There's also a Strait of Hormuz in there, but you don't need to know that. The most prominent feature, though, of the Arabian Peninsula are its deserts. The Syrian desert in the north, as you can see in the map, and the empty quarter, or the Rub al-Khali, in the south. We also call this the Great Arabian Desert. Basically, it's just a huge desert that covers most of the southern part of the Arabian Peninsula. Though the whole peninsula is not desert, there are mountains in the southwest which actually do receive some rainfall, and the southern tip of this peninsula, the area which makes up the country of Yemen present day, receives a great deal of rainfall and actually has very productive fields. One thing I want you to notice is the location of the Arabian Peninsula and its proximity to Persia, where the Persian Empire or the Sassanids were, and its proximity to the lands of Egypt, the Mediterranean, Anatolia, which of course was home to the Byzantine Empire. So take a look at this map and make sure you kind of get those in your head, because now we want to see a little bit of the trading routes. Most Arabs in the Arabian Peninsula were actually settled people along the coast or in the south. So in Yemen, we had farmers, and then along the coast, we had people who were interested in the maritime trade, or trading the oversea trade. And so we see cities and people settled in these areas to assist with this trade, especially trade between China, India, and the Mediterranean. Nomads were important to this too, and we'll see that in a second. But they were pretty much a minority. Of course, when we talk about Arabs and these Arabic nomads, we're talking about the ethnic group that originates in the Arabian Peninsula. Nomads are a minority, or were a minority in the society. They were mostly polytheistic prior to Islam, but even so, they were very familiar with Judaism and Christianity. If you notice the proximity of the Arabian Peninsula to places like Jerusalem, where my mouse is here, where Christianity and Judaism had their center, they were interacting with these people constantly through trade. They would have interacted with Zoroastrians in Persia. They would have interacted with Christians in the Byzantine Empire. They would have interacted with Jews in Israel. So it was not uncommon. There were some Arabs actually who adopted some forms of Christianity. This brings me to the trade that nomads were responsible for, particularly the caravan trade between Yemen and Mesopotamia. It also traded with the Mediterranean. A caravan is simply a group of people traveling together, often on a trade expedition. And these Arabic nomads made their money by providing guides and safe passage to merchants. Trade received a boost, believe it or not, from an invention that has to do with the camel. The military efficient camel saddle, which you see pictured here on the right, allowed nomadic people to ride on top of the camel's hump rather than behind. So what is the importance of this? Basically, we see improved control of the camel. It allowed them to move more quickly and more efficiency, not just in battle, but in trade. So we see what might seem to be a kind of useless invention. Oh no, we have a new saddle. No, in fact, it spurs on a great deal of trade. In fact, camels replace wheeled vehicles in Arabia. And we see the camel saddle itself um, allow for much more trade to take place across this desert landscape than had occurred before. That brings us to this group, the Quraysh, this nomadic kinship group, basically kind of an extended family who settle in a place called Mecca in the 5th century. They controlled trade in and out of the city. Basically, they ran caravans across Arabia, but they also used this as a trading post. And they achieve a measure of prosperity because of their location. There's not a whole lot of competition around them, and they're a little too far away for the Byzantine Empire to conquer or the Sassanids to conquer. So they have some measure of independence as well. Mecca, though, becomes a pilgrimage site as well, mainly due to the presence of the Kaaba. The Kaaba was a cubical shrine. Now, in the picture you see here is in its present form. It's looked like this since about the 16th century. But prior to 600, it contained idols. So it became kind of a pilgrimage site for these polytheistic people. Meccans did connect the Kaaba to stories of Abraham in Judaism and Christianity. Now, it also become connected with the story of Abraham, or Ibrahim as he's known in Islam. And now Mecca is the center for the religion of Islam. Now, how did that come to be? Well, the Prophet Muhammad is born in Mecca in the year 570, and he's going to be the prophet of the religion Islam, which we'll talk about more tomorrow. He grows up as an orphan and becomes involved in the caravan trade. He marries a Quraysh widow named Khadijah, and he manages her caravan interests. He begins, though, meditating in the mountains outside of town. And while meditating in the year 610, he receives a revelation from the angel Gabriel in the year 610. And it's these revelations which will later be recorded in the Quran. Basically, they were believed to be the unchanging word of God, or Allah. His revelations continue until he dies in the year 632. And these revelations, as well as the life of the Prophet Muhammad, will form the basis for the Islamic religion, which we will talk about tomorrow. So make sure you understand these video goals, the main geographic features, how Arabs facilitated trade, the role of Mecca, and our basics about Muhammad, so that we can discuss all of this and more in class tomorrow. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you Monday.